We already know what a late bloomer is. Raise your hand if you feel behind in life, like your career plan, your financial freedom, education, social status, relationship status, all stuck in neutral while mindless distractions keep eating your time. But what if I, a 56-year-old stranger, told you you are not behind in life? You just developing in areas most people your age never had to confront. I want to talk about why we become late bloomers and how the skills you've been forced to build in silence might actually be your biggest advantage in becoming who you always knew you could be. I guarantee you this ain't some bootstrap your way to bliss sermon, you heard me? Research shows that delayed development is linked to early life adversity. And this ain't just a mindset issue, it's neuroscience. You ever sat in a room full of grown-ass folks and felt like you was the only one still trying to figure out how to pay rent, buy groceries, and make peace with your mama's emotional neglect? Like you late to life, but not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, relationally. Like your self-worth been stuck on buffering since the day your mama kicked you out. That ain't coincidence, Wody. That's conditioning. See, folks don't be talking about them developmental delays that ain't physical. I'm talking about psychological latency. And your emotional growth is stunted starting as far back as childhood and shows up in your adult life like a bounty hunter from the sticks. And the cold part is, most late bloomers ain't slow. They just raised in survival mode, where the goal was making it to next week. Ain't had no time to be discovering purpose. Man, I saw this thing in the Journal of Developmental Psychology. It says unresolved childhood anxiety delays career progress, intimate relationships, and identity development. Your delayed career paths, your struggle with decision making, your pattern of toxic ass relationships. That's trauma residue, not laziness, not failure, not stupidity, trauma. That's why you feel stuck, because your brain has been rewired to chase safety, not success. Pause. Quick story. Right when I finished my third bid, well, maybe it was my fourth bid. Look, I can't remember, but I was like 31 years old. You would think a man coming home after a 7-year bid would be ready to conquer the world. Nah, dog. I was terrified of voicemail. I'm talking full-blown panic attack from voicemail because I didn't know how to return a damn call without rehearsing like I was auditioning for the prison talent show. One time, oh God, I spent like an hour and a half trying to leave a voice message for a lady named Charlene about a janitor gig at this temp agency. Started that message over like 120 times. Sweating, stuttering, losing confidence with every take. I cried. Shit, man, the stripper I was with cried too. She felt sorry for me, gave me like a little 30% discount. Man, you thought I was confessing to a felony the way I was fumbling that phone, you heard? But why? Because deep down inside, I didn't believe I was worthy of that callback. My entire identity was tied to survival, not self-worth. You can't give blockbuster performance when your self-image stuck on bootleg bars. And guess what? That same week, I went to another interview for this contractor gig, and this HR lady asked me, what would you say is your greatest strength? I panicked, and guess what I said? I'm good with bleach. No metaphor, no clever twist, just I'm good with bleach. When all you know is cleanup, you can't see yourself as a builder. Pause. That right there, that was my trauma manifesting in real time. But here's the twist. Those same insecurities forced me to confront my internal programming. I wasn't behind in life. I was just behind in healing. My real delay wasn't in age. It was in emotional bandwidth. Pause. There's tons of research that shows you emotional abuse disrupts executive functioning, which explains why it's a lot of us out here living our 30s the way we wanted our 20s to be, and living our 40s the way we wanted our 30s, and so on. Yeah, dog, late bloomers take on a whole new meaning now, don't it? By the way, hit the like button if you like something, and if you're motivated as hell, hit that notification bell, you heard me? You ever feel like life gave everybody else a head start and you still trying to lace up your sneaks in a house with no light, no guidance, and a mama that felt like emotional support was letting you skip church? Let's get this straight. You ain't behind, you ain't broken, you just been delayed. Delayed by what? Delayed by trauma, by conditioning, by the biology of stress. And if anybody ever told you different, they either privileged or pandering. Pause. Let's just start with the brain, because that's where the delays begin. Harvard Center of the Development Child explains that chronic stress in childhood literally rewires your prefrontal cortex, your amygdala, your hippocampus, them the parts of the brain that handle emotional regulation, decision-making, and memory. When your whole childhood was survival mode, guess what your adult habits gonna reflect? Survival thinking, not visionary thinking, not strategic execution. Just make it to Friday. Just don't get evicted. Just don't get cussed out by mama. That basic thinking That's neurobiology. Pause. Did y'all know that the Journal of Adult Development found that people with unresolved attachment trauma tend to develop a poor sense of self-worth, relational trust, and career clarity 10 to 15 years later than their peers? Come on, dog. Y'all got to think about that. You 38 years old feeling behind, but you just entering the developmental window that your classmates had at 21. That ain't failure, Wody. That's the aftercare schedule, you heard? Identity delays, relationship delays, income delays. Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz said it best. A person's self-image sets the boundaries of that individual's accomplishment. If your identity has been built on rejection, instability, and being a responsible one since the age of 10, then guess what? You gonna hustle like a doormat and love like a liability. Boss. That's why you keep overperforming and under-receiving, and that's why you stay choosing partners to feel like projects. You ain't flawed, you functioning according to a self-image that's outdated and overworked. Boss. Here go another one, because biology don't lie. Trauma accelerates aging and delays progress. So adverse childhood experiences, it ain't just about drama, Wody. That's why when I hear people say keep pushing, I'm like, pushing to what? The grave? When I hear somebody say that, I know that they are unaware of the fact that trauma actually rewires the brain, weakens your immune system, and turns your stress response into a hair trigger. And I ain't talking abstract, man. I'm talking gut health, hormone dysregulation, and compromised executive function. That shit is all tied to stress, all tied to your late bloomer profile. That ACEs study confirmed that that's why so many of us struggle with focus, learning, and maintaining real relationships. Man, somebody type bars in the comments if you get that. Y'all remember that lady Charlene I told y'all I was struggling to leave a message for? Yeah, I finally mustered up the courage, left a voicemail sound like a damn parole board appeal, and guess what? She called back. I got the job too. Felt like things was finally going in the right direction. Shit, I thought I was leveling up. Plot twist, Charlene started liking me heavy. We messed around for a bit, caught feelings, and then she asked me if I saw a future in us. You know what I told her? Good with bleach. I'm good with bleach. Relationship and the job ended instantly, you heard? But not before she told me you talk like a therapist and love like a terrorist. I really liked her too, bro, but that shit stung deeper than an unpaid restitution letter, you heard? She told me I was immature. I said, immature? I'm older than you. But that's when it hit me. This ain't about age. This is about being so stuck in survival mode that my first reaction to love was sabotage. But why? Because my brain couldn't imagine me being somebody's rock or letting somebody see me for who I really am. All my brain could focus on was the risk of being dumped or rejected. And that terrified me like my daddy walking out on us all over again. That is why my nervous system used to treat vulnerability like a setup. You gotta think of it like this. My brain hadn't gotten to a point of feeling safe enough to focus on a bigger dream, to focus on a brighter future. And that is the real definition of a late bloomer pause. And safety don't come from a paycheck or 1,000 likes. Safety comes from emotional regulation, therapy, introspection, community, and redefining your self-image. Until then, you're just gonna keep letting comfort rob you of your come up. Pause. But you gotta hear me on this. Neuroplasticity is your redemption plan, you heard? Your brain can rewire itself at any age. That's not motivational fluff. That's backed by data from the Harvard Center of the Developing Child and Stanford Neuropsych Labs. Am I saying it's easy? No, I have to do the work, and I ain't talking about just some meditation on a yoga mat. I'm talking real rewiring. I started reading, journaling, cutting off distractions, doing psychotherapy, EMDR, exposing myself to ideas that used to make me uncomfortable, seek out mentors, and putting myself in rooms that didn't feel like home until I grew into them. But rewiring this brain right here don't happen on accident. It takes consistent intention, constant exposure to new ideas, getting assistance from therapists, repetition, and most importantly, dog, a safe space to unlearn what you shouldn't have to learn in the first place. And as for Charlene wanting a more serious relationship, I think my response, I'm good with bleach. Pissed off because she a white girl, live and learn. But anyway, if you are trying to get out of this late bloomer phase and get out of your own way, please understand that waiting on confidence is sabotaging your progress, which I explain in this video right here. And if you want to turn your rough upbringing into your unfair advantage, start with my free coaching. Link is in the description. Bye.